Alrighty, hi everyone. We're going to be talking about transformational leadership. And so our instructional design we're going to be using is a backwards design. And so the desired result or end goal of our presentation is to educate everyone about transformational leadership style. We will discuss evidence throughout the presentation to help aid in everyone's understanding of this style of leadership. So like references to overview, articles that are used with this style, etc. And then overall, like the structure of the overview, the challenges and strengths, and also the application to OT practice, as well as that application to the models and frames of references, will each help facilitate learning for everyone in the group via this video. Oh, geez.
Okay. All right. So just an overview of this leadership theory. Transformational leadership is a process of having the leader connect with followers in a manner that heightens motivation by attending to their needs and engaging them as team members. So it really focuses on empowering and inspiring others. This is a modern theory that evolved from the transactional leadership style. It influences individuals by facilitating change. It's goal-oriented with clear visions and clear values. And then in some of the articles we found, it discussed the 4 I's, which was important. So the first one is idolized influence, which is pride, respect, and trust is simulated through the development of a vision. And these I'm taking off of one of our articles that we have cited, which is the Diggle et al. The second I was inspirational motivation. High expectations are created through role modeling. The third I, individualized consideration. Respect and responsibility is fostered through personal attention to followers. And the last one, intellectual stimulation, which is new ideas and approaches are used to challenge followers.
So with this transformational leadership style, there are several different strengths and challenges that come with the style. So some of the strengths would include increasing the motivation and morality of the group as a whole, and that motivation and morality, it's an external group effort, but it's also coming from internally from each individual that's part of the group, so helping instill that in individuals. Effective management of resources. So being able to see like the big picture and organize those resources as needed, which organization is another strength of somebody using the transformational leadership style. And transformational leader also helps improve the group morale. So really making it a positive experience for everybody in the group, trying to kind of play to everybody's strengths and involve everybody as appropriate. They're also very creative and respectful of individuals that are in the group. Some of the challenges that arise when using the transformational leadership style include having a lack of focus on small details. So like I mentioned, a strength is being able to see the big picture and see the big goal, but because of that, sometimes the smaller details might get missed or might just not be completed or focused on. So being aware of that when you use the transformational leadership style is really important. There's also a potential for burnout. And this can be for both the leader and for the individuals in the group. And part of the problem with that is because the leader is leading by example, they're showing everybody how positive and enthusiastic they are, then some of the people that are in the group might see that and be like, well, I'm not doing everything that the leader is doing, and that could lead to them feeling that effect of burnout, which of course would impact the productivity of the group as well. There's also fewer checks and balances related with the transformational leadership style. Individuals that are working under this type of leader may not feel comfortable speaking up with ideas or suggestions that differ from the whole group. So that might impact the different discussions that happen before just like important decisions are made. It also requires constant maintenance for a transformational leader to continually check up on people in the group, make sure that morale really is as high as you want it to be. And that everybody is happy and working towards the goals as we want them to be. There's also a chance, like I mentioned before, for little details to be lost. So those small details help to create the big picture. And when we lose focus on those smaller steps, then the details can really impact what our final product is. And then reliance on personalities for this transformational leadership style. Again, this requires everybody in the group to be able to find a little bit of internal motivation and be willing to kind of collaborate with that group morale to keep everybody's hopes high and enthusiasm going. And if there's a big portion of that group that the personalities don't fall into that, then that could be difficult. And then also exaggerated disagreements can occur between group members when using this leadership style.
All right, so going into a little bit of the application to clinical practice, I thought it was really important to pull in a couple of research articles to support the use of transformational leadership. And so these both articles actually examine transformational leadership in specifically OTs. And so they help reveal that there are benefits of this style and how it's used for clinical practice. So the first article looked at the relationship between OT's perceptions of leadership styles of their rehab managers and also the outcomes of leadership that were, I guess, a result of that. And so that used the multi-factor leadership questionnaire. And so the findings of that article indicated that the transformational leadership had a significant positive association with leadership outcomes. So basically, the transformational leadership style happens along with that outcome or positive result of leadership. And so this means that when that transformational leadership style is used, there's also more evidence of that adequate leadership outcomes. And so although the study doesn't really conclude that the style actually causes more leadership outcomes, there's still that significant association between the two, which reveals that it's important to have that style at times in leadership and OT practice, just because it's associated with those positive outcomes. And then the second article looked at exploring transformational leadership styles in occupational therapy and physical therapy, using again that multi-factor leadership questionnaire. And so the findings of that article basically found that between OT and PT, there were the chair people who demonstrated high levels of that transformational leadership. And so they concluded that those characteristics might have influential factors in student outcomes and professional development, things like that, that are directly related to clinical practice and client-centered care. So this means that since those transformational leadership styles are common in those types of individuals, those positive outcomes are then associated with that. And so this potential influence really gets at how the leadership style utilizes that positive outcomes to facilitate OT practice and client-centered care. And then just kind of going in terms of general applications to OT practice, OT practitioners should use transformational leadership styles in their practice to help improve their client-centered care. So overall, this style requires leaders to collaborate with the team and also ensure they can do the tasks that they delegate to their team members. And so they also need to utilize basic components of the leadership style. So those are kind of described in the overview, but those can be including focusing on the big picture of end goals. They can be simplifying to specific tasks after that. They lead with a vision and represent OT's values and vision, which is kind of turning into promoting that OT practice and client-centered care, since OT focuses significantly on that concept. And so they also need to help others find their strengths and trust the team members to use them accordingly to help contribute toward that end goal. And that applies to client-centered care because in the same way that OTs should gain the client's trust and also understand their values in order to successfully engage in that client-centered care through OT. And overall, the skills of transformational leadership include respect, creativity, organization, integrity, and responsibility, which are all skills needed to successfully engage in client-centered care and OT practice. And so OTs need to respect client wishes, for example, for their values for therapy, and also be creative in the ways they incorporate clients' values into their sessions, and also take responsibility to advocate for their clients' goals.
So now theory and models. We chose the PEOP model, Person Environment Occupational Performance Model. And just a reminder of what that is, it illustrates the interaction between person, environment, and occupation and how they impact occupational performance. So Kayla's going to tell us about each section of it.
Yeah, so for P, the person, this really relates to the leadership style as the leadership's characteristics and skills. So this could be something like psychological factors of the leader that impact performance, like motivation, self-concept, self-esteem, self-efficacy, even their metacognition, emotional states and self-awareness. And then some others include organizational skills, creativity, respect, and responsibility, which we talked a lot about in this. For environment, or the E in PEOP, the facility itself, their values and mission, as well as the physical resources that are available to the leader and the team or to the client. The team morale or social environment is another contributing factor to the environment with this model as well. And then for O, occupation is the accomplishment of group goal through collaboration. So this is really requiring the collaboration of the team members or the therapist and the client to contribute to the completion of the goal or working towards that goal.
So then within the model, they have function and dysfunction. So we thought this was appropriate to touch on with this leadership style. So function is balance occurs between the P, E, and O. So in relation to the transformational leadership style, it is when the leader has the skills or like motivation, self-efficacy, like Kayla talked about, and their values align with the facility, and therefore the team and the leader can effectively collaborate to meet their goals. So an example of this essentially is function is completing the end goal. And that results from the transformational skills of the leader and corresponding facilities, values, missions, which is their environment. And then dysfunction is a lack of balance between the PE and O. And it can be one or more factors that aren't present. It's just dependent on the situation. And the leader lacks, in relation to this leadership style, the leader lacks skills of a transformational leader, or their values do not align with the facility, so the team cannot effectively collaborate to meet the goals. So an example of this is if the environment lacks the resources that are needed to complete the goals, that could result in dysfunction. Another example is like if the social interactions aren't there, whether it be from the leader, which would be like the P, or even like the whole environment, like this whole social environment, which would fall under the E part. If there's any imbalance, it's considered dysfunction and it's not really gonna be effective. So that's all we have. Here is our references, and thanks for listening.